up and running?
If I could, Dustin, out of curiosity, when these meetings are recorded, are these available to be viewed afterwards, or where would we find them?
They would be on the meeting page on our calendar on the SBCC website.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
you have to double check if last week's got posted just yet. We've had a little bit of a hectic week last week, and so we're playing a little bit of catch up with the posting of documents and things like that
Okay.
on that one.
Yeah, I'm just new. If it could be posted, there's some stuff that I would have liked to rewatch last week for some nuances, but that was my question.
Yeah, we should be able to get that up today after the meeting. I'll touch base with folks and make sure that gets done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as the alternate chair, our chair's position is still vacant. I will get our meeting started, and item 1 on the agenda is welcome and introductions. I have a couple of items. First off, welcome to everybody. I know not everybody made it to the meeting last week, which that's fine. I know some of you were involved in other code-related meetings. It sounded like we had a pretty good start on the fire code of moving through everything. So I think item number 3, number 2, I guess, is just making sure that we have a good spread the workload out amongst all of us to try to get through these the changes on the IFC. And I guess I will my introduction for those that weren't here last week. I'm Roger Herringa. I am the structural engineering representative on the Building Code Council, and I am your alternate chair. The fire chief position on the State Building Code Council is still vacant, and we've assumed that that person, once that position is filled, will become the chair of the of this tag. So I'm here to kind of help the process, help meetings go along. And then I did want to get out there that I will be out the week basically from May 13th to the 23rd. So we've talked about a fair amount of work that we need to get done before that. But if there is a meeting or two during that 2-week period, I'll need somebody else to chair the meeting. So
That was starting on May what?
13th.
Gotcha.
And right up until the 23rd, which is the day before the Building Code Council meeting. So so with that, I think I would like to have everybody go back, everybody here that is on the tag, go through and introduce yourself. And I think I'm just going to go down the list that I have. And if you are here, if you can introduce yourself, tell us quickly who you are and what what your interests are here on the fire code tag. So is Ning Wang available?
Yes. Hi everyone, this is Nings here, and I just recently joined this group, so we're excited. And I currently working for SOM in Seattle as an architect, technical architect. So I have some exposure, some knowledge about the IFC. And I think my main interest will be more focused on the architecture part. So like egress, occupancy loads, those sounds interesting to me. But I'm open to other subjects. So yeah, so just see like what's the best, what works best for the code group. Yeah.
Thank you, Ning.
Mm-hmm.
How about, is Jacob Litticode available?
Yep, that's me. Jake Lydico. I'm principal of a little firm in Yakima, Washington. Joined because I do more IBC stuff than I do IFC. Therefore, I'm here to learn something.
All right, thanks, Jake. And Quinn Tai, are you available? I think I saw you.
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I had to close my back door here. Yeah, so Quinn Tai, Principal Plans Examiner for City of Tacoma. I'm here representing the building officials for Washington. I'm also the chair for the subcommittee for the WABO's fire safety. And I just got back from the ICC hearing and listened through all the 2027 proposals for the fire code, WUI code, and a bunch of the fire safety on Chapter 7. My biggest thing right now, and I volunteered last week, was Chapter 12. The biggest thing is right now, that's what part of, like, I'm also part of SEAC down in California. The ESS storage is a big topic right now, so that's one of the things I'm keeping my eyes on. So pleasure to be on board.
Great. And Ray Shipman, are you available? I don't see Ray here. By the way, also for those that are not, I went through this last week, but that were not here, there are positions, I believe everybody got copies of the tag members and their contacts lists. Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong. I know I got that from you all. There are a number of positions have both a primary and an alternate position. And just for those that aren't aware, our hope and desire is that both the primary and the alternate position are contributing throughout this process. When it comes down to our actual votes, those positions will only have one vote. So the primary person would be the voting member. For instance, Quinn is the primary member for the representing the building officials. So he would be the building official vote. If he is not here, then Ray Shipman, who is the alternate, would be the vote for the building officials. So just, the process between primary and alternate members.
And Roger, just speaking a little ahead here, and also for Dustin, I'll be gone out of the country from May 13th through May 24th. And I know we'll have a couple of meetings when I'm gone, so just FYI.
Okay. And Quinn, I would ask that you do coordinate with Ray Shipman. His contact information should be available, and just hopefully Ray can be there those times when you're not there. So we do have the vote for the from the building official position. So, okay, Ken Burlett, are you here? And I don't see Ken's name. How about Hugo Sotelo?
All right, you can see me now?
Yes.
Yeah, Hugo Sotelo. I got extensive background and experience in fire code. Specifically spent 7 years on the Seattle Fire Code Advisory Board with Ken. So just looking forward to continue my growth and experience. I like the development process. Sounds like we've got a good group of folks. Sounds like an additional resource for me moving forward as I continue my career here with the Renton Regional Fire Authority and the Fire Marshal's Office. So thanks for letting me be part of the group.
Okay, Hugo represents cities and counties. Home builder, affordable housing developer, Mike Nykram. I know you're available. We were chatting about hiking.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mike Nickram here. I guess a little background. My double great grandfather homesteaded Gig Harbor. My grandfather platted and developed most of the original University District. I got my Bachelor of Science Construction Management at Washington in '77 after playing a little bit of football there for Don James and Jim Owens. Been a self-employed home builder since 1985, and I'm here to represent the fact that we in the home building industry believe that all people deserve a home, and all people deserve an affordable home. So I'll be holding the task force to the affordability task and practicality for everything we're looking at. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And Bill Maybush, I know you're here. Bill's representing the general contractor position.
Yeah, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me. And yeah, I'm with a general contractor here in Seattle, but we're actually a national contractor headquartered in Chicago. And I'm just looking forward to contribute however I can with my own experience.
Thanks, Bill. And manufacturer supplier, Ricky Campbell. Ricky.
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I represent manufacturers and suppliers. I'm a union rep. I represent 2 manufacturers and suppliers here in the Seattle area. I also am a union organizer, plus part-time instructor for our apprenticeship program, and that's sprinkler fitters, UA Local 699.
Welcome, Ricky. Fire protection engineers, the primary is Walker Danuji. Walker, I see you're on.
Thanks, Roger. Yeah, Walker Danuji. I'm a fire protection consultant with over 20 years of project experience, as well as ICC and California code development experience. Happy to be moving that with me up to Washington and have the opportunity to work with you all.
Thanks, Walker. And Dave Cocott, are you on? Yes.
Yes, I am. I'm Dave Cocott. I'm fire protection engineer with Spokane Fire Department. I've been associated with the fire tag since, I believe, 2006. So I've been involved with a lot of the code updates, changes. I was on the Building Code Council previously, and I'm awaiting an appointment to be able to serve on the current Building Code Council to give Roger a little bit of a break and be able to sit back, and I get to run this once once we get to that point. If that ever happens, it seems like it's taking forever. So looking forward to the new code and being able to move the fire code up into the next levels.
Thanks, Dave. And fire sprinkler industry, Sean Morgan is the primary. Sean, are you on?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody. Sean Morgan, Costco Fire Protection. I'm a fire sprinkler project manager. Came up through the trades as a sprinkler fitter. And right now, mostly do industrial and infrastructure work. So my interests are sprinkler, obviously, rail, fire protection, standpipes, all that good stuff.
All right, thank you. And the alternate is Kevin Marr. Is Kevin on? Yes.
Yeah, this is Kevin Marr. Hang on, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, Kevin Marr. I'm work for company Patriot Fire Protection. Been in the sprinkler industry for almost 40 years now, and I have served on the last, since 2012 fire code tag. So this is my 4th or 5th one.
All right, welcome.
Hey, how is Kevin the alternate?
That is because
That's all right.
Okay.
I have no problem being the alternate.
Okay,
Yes.
I've known Kevin here and there through job walks for a long time. Yeah, you're well respected in the industry. Been around a long time.
Sean, I can actually answer that question is in our bylaws on the State Building Code Council, there is not a rule, but a recommendation that people are limited to 2 code cycles. However, you can serve additional, but we prioritize somebody new to get some new comments. So when Sean came on board, he was chosen as the primary because he hadn't been involved, but Kevin had been, so he's the alternate.
Okay, right on. That makes sense. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm new, so just getting a lay of the land, but appreciate that, everybody.
Yep. Fire alarm industry, David Mao.
Good morning, everybody. This is new for me. I've been involved with Zone 1 Fire Marshal's tag for about 10 years. I'm also co-chair of the best practices with Todd Short. My background's fire alarm engineering. Started as an electrician 25 years ago, kind of worked my way up through it. Now just looking forward to learning and contributing.
Okay. And alternate is Zachary Tuck. Is Zachary on?
Yeah, good morning. This is Zachary Tuck. I'm the president and CEO of Suppression Systems. We've been in the special hazard fire protection business in the Washington State for 47 years. And I look forward to my 4th year on the tag.
Great, thank you. And on the fire chief side, Lance Dahl. Is Lance on?
Yep, right here. Lance Dahl, I'm Deputy Chief of Fire Prevention here in Spokane. I'm a city fire marshal here also, fire code official, and I'm on the board of Washington State Association of Fire Marshals. I'm representing the fire chiefs here. Glad to be here. I've helped Dave Cocott massage some rules across the state over the last number of years and had the opportunity to finally jump in. So glad to be here.
And now we also have some vacant positions for building owner, property manager, general public, subject matter expert, and estate enforcement. So there are 3 open positions. I know that there have been some there's some action that will probably be taken at the next, there are some members that have come up. And so I think that maybe when there's an executive committee member, we will officially have some other people that will be joining us as well. That will get, that will get distributed to everybody once additional members are approved by the SBCC or the executive committee. I don't intend to necessarily go through a whole introduction from here out. I think this is our first meeting with most of us on. What we will be doing is taking a roll call. Dustin, I'm not sure that we need to do that today. I don't think that we're necessarily voting on anything, and almost everybody's here. And then one more thing before I go on to agenda item 2. There will be an agenda item at our next meeting. There is a proposal for a rulemaking, a change to the rulemaking on the fire suppression systems that was presented at the State Building Code Council meeting on Friday last week. And the SBCC basically directed this body, the IFC tag, to review that and make a recommendation. So that will be on the agenda next time. Dustin, I'm assuming we will get that information distributed to everybody so that they can look through it. Yes. And I believe the proponent will be at our meeting next week next week and making the presentation. So, but that's, go ahead.
That's on the NAFED licensing for pre-engineered systems versus the NICET systems. And they have as far as textual change, a pretty small modification they're proposing. They had a really good presentation at our council meeting last week, and they're intending to be present at the next TAG meeting. They were anxious to be on this one, but since this agenda was already set, we are holding off just for another week. And the intent on this one is to do an emergency rule. And we have the time to get this all drafted up by the next council meeting in May. And so I think that, as far as my take on the matter, they had a very convincing presentation, and I think that they have sound reasoning behind it. But that's why we're here, is to take into account more than just one person's opinion and make a recommendation to the council on that proposal from them. And so I'm excited to get that one out on the next meeting as well.
Yeah. So our main work in the next few weeks is to get through the model code chapters and make some recommendations. Our hope is to get through chapters by really in the next week or 2 weeks at the most. So we got a head start on that last week, and I think that's. But we will have that one additional item that we need to address next week. So with that, Dustin, I'm going to turn it over to you and agenda item number 2.
Awesome. Before we continue on to agenda item number 2, I will introduce myself again. My name is Dustin Kerb. I'm with the State Building Code Council staff. Some of you guys may know me. I've been with the staff for about 2 years now. And as of last Friday, our managing director, Stoyan Bumbalov, has moved on to a greener pasture in California. And I have stepped up to fill his role as the acting managing director of the State Building Code Council staff. And I will be running the IBC and IFC tags in Group 1. We are looking to hire some more code specialists to assist in that. But for the time being, I will be the guy running these meetings on the state council staff side of things. And so jumping into item number 2.
Dustin, if I can, just for everybody, Dustin is going to have his hands full, juggling a whole lot of stuff. So as we go through these, if there's anything we can do to make his job easier, we should be trying to do that. So the staff is going to be short-staffed a little bit, and Dustin in particular. So we need to be, while we can rely on the staff, we need to, when we can, we need to be trying to help them out. So
it would be greatly appreciated, and I thank you for that, Roger. So item number 2 is distribution of the chapters for the 2024 IFC. So that we can put in the work on an existing amendments report and a significant changes report. It's all kind of the same task to take a look at the 2024 language and the existing amendments and put them all together and make some recommendations, not recommendations, but to make, I guess, recommendations on our amendments and any significant changes to the Building, Fire, and Plumbing Committee before we get to the May council meeting. And so last week we went through and kind of just had went through chapter by chapter and made a call for volunteers on those chapters. So we did get that, and I would have to double check. We only, I believe, sent out mailings to those who made the volunteer on those. So I think this week, as we conclude this meeting, we'll be sending out an updated chapters list. And if we don't have somebody here or somebody didn't volunteer, but they are a member of the tag, I want to get that list sent out to all the tag members with all the distribution documents. So before I jump into maybe calling for more volunteers, I would just ask everybody here, did we get the emails that were supposed to be sent out? Is there any issues with the information that was delivered out last week? Dave.
Yes, I think it's interesting is I think you guys did certain chapters of this, and I think I volunteered for chapter 53, but I got sent chapter 3, not 53.
Okay.
So I do, I'll probably be able to finish that one up. I've got the other ones pretty well taken care of. So if I get chapter 53, it'd be great.
I can get you that. Go ahead.
I started on chapter 3 because Dave had it, unless somebody else is already working on it.
Yeah, council staff had already done some of the chapters.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe 3 is one of the ones that I have already completed on that one. So Dave, you need 53. Lance, you started 3, but I don't think we need that one at the moment. Is there anything else that you needed, Lance, on that one?
Well, Dave grabbed 80. Did we have another one, Dave, that you haven't worked on?
I have the list, Lance. I can coordinate with you with the
Okay.
other ones.
Sounds good.
Walker.
I just wanted to confirm that I did receive the package from SBCC and the chapters that I had signed up for.
Okay.
I bit off a little more than I may be able to chew, so we'll see if any additional volunteers show up later in the meeting for 7 through 11.
Yes, if you guys are feeling overloaded, we should have some more members here today that might be available for some coordination on that. So Roger, you got your hand up?
Yeah, as I go through here, Dustin, there's 2 more things I wanted to mention for those new, kind of the big picture schedule. We're asking individuals to go through these chapters now over the next couple of weeks. Then we will review the comments or the information that those particular people have gone through, trying to get through before the May SBCC meeting to have reports on the changes for the existing code, then the existing model code, and then state amendments will be open like throughout the summer, and so then we're going to have a big push next late summer, fall to go through any proposed amendments people have. So that's just kind of a big picture. And then I also will just say the way I hope to run the meeting is it's going to be open. I appreciate people raising their hands, but we want input from everybody. But if you want to comment, I think raising the hands is probably the best way for us to go about it. So thanks.
Quinn.
You know what? Never mind. I think never mind.
Okay, Jake.
I had received 32 and raised my hand last time for that, but it looks like there's not any amendments to 32, but perhaps that shows that I'm learning.
Let me double check 32.
Otherwise, my other code sections I'm fine with. I just wanted to double check 32 before I try and find an answer that doesn't exist.
Gotcha. So here, I'm gonna update my screen share to be that, and we'll just go to the website where, oops, sorry, I minimized that. So 32. It does not appear that there are any state amendments for that chapter. So if there are changes in there that you deem significant, we would just need input on those
Okay.
items for that chapter.
Yep. Okay. I'll just look through it, but want to make sure I started on the right foot.
Gotcha. Does anybody else have any issues or questions about the assignments that were divvied out last week? It looks like no hands, so we'll get to the list of chapters. And if you guys saw the list of chapter assignments, it's I don't know, I want to make it a little bit more digestible so that you can look at all the chapters of the IFC and maybe see who's assigned to those chapters instead of seeing a name in the chapters they volunteered for. This is the list that was sent out, and it has the information from the meeting. I would like to get it so it shows chapters in number order, and so that we can see any blank spaces that we have in there.
Hey, Dustin,
Yes,
that's
sir?
the one. Okay, I remember why I raised my hand. That's that spreadsheet you're showing. That's the one I didn't get.
You didn't get this.
Correct.
Okay. As far as, so you got the email, and in the email, it should have had a list of documents that we intended to attach. Is that the only one that was missing out of your list of documents?
Yeah, I got all the amendments documents, the Word documents. I got the spreadsheet for the what to write in there, but I didn't get this list.
Okay. We will get that. We'll get you this one here today, and then it'll be my intention to kind of change this one around just a little bit, so we can digest it a little easier to see what work might be remaining on this one. I'm going to go back to
I also did not get this one and also the other attachment. So appreciate if you can forward those to me. Thank you.
What was the other attachment you were missing, Ning?
I only received the meeting agenda attached to the Zoom invite, but I did not receive any other documents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will get those to you this afternoon.
Hey, Dustin, I also noticed that you list me as chapter 10. I don't think I volunteered for that one because I don't have the bandwidth to do chapter 10.
I gotcha. Let me get back into the notes I had on.
Oh, I think Quinn volunteered for it.
I'll get it to you by June or July.
Oh, you did touch base on 10. You mentioned you might, and then it was just kind of we put your name on there. You want to have your name stricken from that one?
Yeah, go ahead and take me out. I mean, because I'm going to be gone, like I said earlier, on the May 13th. So between my current job and all other duties, I'll have only bandwidth for 11 through the other stuff, the other chapters.
I hear you. So we'll remove it on this spreadsheet, and then as we update, we'll get you taken care of on there. Thank you, Quinn.
Thanks.
You did volunteer for a lot, so I appreciate it.
And Dustin, I think wasn't there a document that Ken Brulette put together, a kind of a summary as well? Were we supposed to get that sent to us?
That was supposed to be sent out as well. Did everybody get a document? Or if we didn't get it out, it was supposed to be attached. But there's a document that Ken Brulette put together that he went over the whole fire code and made some comments on the sections that are significant changes and the amendments. We sent that out for you guys to use as kind of a cheat sheet if you needed to, and or we intended to. So if that hasn't been sent out, we can resend that to everybody.
Yeah,
I did not get that one, but I contacted Ken and he provided it to me directly. But I did want to make sure to see if the rest of the tag got it, because it's a good, as I say, it's a great cheat sheet. Good way to start.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. So
okay,
thanks for bringing that back up. That was not in my packet either.
Okay, we will get that sent out back to everybody today. And the other thing that Ken was showing last week was a ICC proposals, rationale, and kind of cost statement document. Instead of sending that physical document, there's a link to the webpage with ICC that has all those code documents. We sent out the kind of same introductory email to both the IBC and IFC tags, And so I wanted to just have everybody be able to get to the same documents, but they're for the different codes. Anyway, Mike, you're muted, Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I guess I'll use my space bar. It's quicker. So, as the only home builder on this group, obviously cost effectiveness is paramount to what we do. The only thing I received was a 22-page document that regarding Group R, Group R4, which is group homes, and haven't received anything else. And I'd also like linkage to the portions of the codes that comply with again, single family, and I would say probably R1, R2 type occupancy.
So when we sent out chapter, you received nothing.
To continue a little bit, so I'm very much into the ADU DADU build envelope in Seattle, and FYI, a little background: I've built about 400 homes on my own, and I put fire sprinkler systems and scores and scores and scores of them, paid for them out of my own pocket. So I'm here to try and represent the home building industry and, cost effective systems, just to make it clear.
Gotcha. Mike, just so I'm clear, I think I heard you say that you didn't receive any documents last week. Except for one.
No, I got the 22-page regarding the group homes. So I've only gone through that.
So, okay, I'll have to double check what was sent out on that. I don't think that was, is it a chapter or is it?
No, it seems to cover, many aspects of the I codes and I code amendments. I'm just saying that's all I received.
Okay, it sounds like the package that we were intended to send to you didn't get sent out, but we'll send out a full package. And then you're asking for additional documents on residential occupancies within the building code, or what is the ask there?
The ask is on the table that you've got up on screen, any chapters applicable to, again, the residential industry. I'll just put a condition, probably 40 foot or less in height.
Okay. So can I put your name on those chapters for work on those, and we'll coordinate with the other folks who may have their name on there as well? Gotcha. Quinn.
Hey, Dustin, someone last week kind of mentioned about the chat function was disabled, and I noticed that it's kind of disabled here again. I know in last year when I was part of the IFC tag, we sometimes put links and stuff in the chat. So I don't know if the intent this year is to try to eliminate any chats, basically.
So when I joined up with the SBCC staff, the managing director at the time wanted the chats disabled. As far as compliance with our Open Public Meetings Act, I understand that the links and stuff can be convenient right there. So is it desirable for everybody here to do that? It does present a little bit of a challenge to the staff here. It makes additional documents we need to post to be transparent with the Open Public Meetings Act. It's not that we can't do the chat. It's just that there's a little bit more to the process after the meetings for staff at that point. Roger?
Dustin, yeah, I think I am certainly aware of the concern on the OPMA, and our meetings do need to be doing everything we can to adhere to that. I also understand that making our meetings as efficient as possible is something we need to do. So what I would ask the staff to do, I believe if at the end of a meeting, you can copy all of the chat and put that into a Word document and attach that to the meeting minutes. And I would hope that that would cover any, all of that chat information is public record. So that would be a way that we could both turn on the chats and also hopefully satisfy the OPMA.
I think that works. Dave?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is that going to be a difficulty to staff? Because I know with the shortage of staff right now, with the tags going busy, is that going to be a burden on you guys, or is that something that's relatively easy to do?
If it's, I would have to talk to our admins who deal with the Zoom postings and stuff. So if it's something that they have to transcribe by listening or going back and watching it live, it might be a little bit of a challenge. So what I would like to do is have a chance to consult with the admins who deal with that part. And then, if it is as simple as Roger stated and it's a copy paste and we can attach to the minutes and it solves the problem, or if the Zoom recording, it does produce some transcripts for us, but it's not very good as far as being verbatim. We can get that posted pretty easy as long as it's doesn't not a very time intensive thing.
Yeah,
Quinn.
so the number of meetings we're going to have, my concern is just having to keep track of all that, and having been involved with several tags in the past, that has always been an issue. So yeah, we find out a little bit more about that, because if we do have links or things, we can always post stuff to the website. And I think that the tag needs to know that and a lot of documents are going to be attached to the website, Building Code Council website. If there's anything needed, we can have that access there.
Yes.
So
Quinn.
Dustin, in lieu of the chat, I was just playing around with it as you guys were talking, and there's a feature in Zoom for notes. It looks like I could like it's a shared type of note. So we need to like add links to sites or documents. We could post it in there rather than use it as like a chatting type of thing, but more of a sharing ideas or notes in there. I don't know if you guys can test it out, and I put in test. So if you guys could see it, then we could use that, and that might be easier for staff.
Since I haven't used the feature, where do you find the control for that?
So at the bottom where there says participants, react, share, apps, there's notes. Do you see it in your Zoom? You don't see it? Maybe more.
Well, I got the screen share going, so it kills my stuff. Let me stop it and we'll check it out.
So it might be under more, like 3 dots, but there should be a notes.
Yep.
And then I put in, there should be one called SBCC IFC tag meeting.
It is loading up on my screen at the moment, and
I don't see anything on there, Gwen.
It looks like there's a
Notes.
shared notes feature in there. How about what we'll do is I'm not opposed to enabling the chat for the group if it's good. We will keep the chat disabled for most likely the committee meetings and the council meetings. But since these are a little less formal than those ones, I don't see an issue with having the chat open here. I see something from Ning here.
Yeah, I just tested
shared.
that out.
And what is the content of the note? Just this is okay. I see it. Yeah. So we can use the notes in there. If it's easier to do the chat, I'll check that out, and we'll see what the reports that Zoom puts out for us are like. And if it's super easy, it won't be an issue for transparency there. Would it be preferred to do the notes or to do the chat?
I'd say whatever easiest for staff.
Well, here's the other thing. Because these could be recurring meetings, these notes can be transferred from meeting to meeting, whereas chat is only, I think, for that particular meeting.
Then maybe the notes might be the better venue for the information we're trying to share there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
For just clarity, I can't find the notes so I'm just curious, what operating systems is everybody running? I'm running a Windows myself.
I'm running Windows, and
Windows.
if you've got the controls at the bottom, I'm in the More button on the right of the center grouping of buttons. If you click that, it pops up a little menu. I've got my notes screen open here, and now that I've clicked on notes is a button on the bottom of my screen. So I guess if you don't see it, the More button there at the right hand side should give you access to it. Is
I
that
don't
working?
see I don't see a more button. All I
You know
have
what?
is participant, share screen, show captions, reactions, and
Ricky,
then
you might need to
apps.
update. You might need to update Zoom then.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. All righty. Roger.
Yeah, I just wanted to, since we've gotten into this and there are new people at the meeting, I wanted to reiterate the Open Public Meetings Act. This is an open public meeting. And we do want people to communicate amongst yourselves. So if there's a group of people working on chapters, please call or email those groups. Just be careful if your group email gets to be more than 6 or 7 people, then you may want to run that by Dustin, because that could be considered a meeting. It's more than half of our what, there are 15 positions, but there are 3 open right now, so that's 12. So basically, you can email 5 or less people and don't worry about it. If you get to 6, then you need to start being a little bit careful about that. And so just a reminder that it is an open public meeting.
Thank you, Roger. All right. Anyone else have some input on notes and link sharing or anything like that? Okay. So for the remaining chapters, one thing that I was supposed to do after last meeting, but didn't get a chance to with some of the new responsibilities coming down the line my way, was review the remaining chapters that we don't have folks volunteered for to see if there are any significant amendments. The remaining chapters that so all the chapters that have amendments, we have volunteers for at the moment. So the remaining chapters are stuff that we'd just be looking for significant changes in. Ken Brulette last meeting mentioned that a lot of these don't have significant changes in them. And so you won't see a lot of those in his report that we'll be sending out. Oh, Ken is online now. Ken, would you like to say hi?
Yeah, just say hi. I just got back from city council chamber, so back on. So and I'm really, I'll volunteer, like Dave said, for any chapters that you need. I'll be happy to take a look at.
Gotcha. Just because I don't have everybody memorized in here, could I just have some, if you don't have any chapters volunteered for, could you just raise your hand for me so I can get a quick view and then we can move forward? And it looks like Kevin and Mike. Looks like I've only got 2 folks that don't have any chapters assigned to them. So Mike, you expressed interest in residential occupancies and the chapters that might deal with those. Are you familiar with which chapters those might be, or would you kind of like us to kind of slot your name in there for those chapters?
Well, considering my days go back to the UBC, and I'm like a new guy to the I codes. No, I am not specific. And since we do have, it looks like a general contractor in this group, it sounds like more from the commercial side. I think it'd be best, and we only have 2 people representing those of us that actually go vertical with the industry. Maybe you can split that between the 2 of us.
Okay. So it looks like and I don't have the chapters memorized myself. Can anybody recommend the chapters that might be residential in nature that we can maybe slot Mike's name in? I think they're going to be the occupancy classification chapters and maybe some of the sprinkler chapters where they would talk about what systems go into the residential occupancies. Does that sound like good chapters to slot Mike in on?
I mean, we're primarily 14D, and I do say I've got let me think, I got an IFC going back to hard copy 2003 up on my shelf here. So just a little bit of back. Sorry, I couldn't keep up with all the building codes since my first one goes back to 1973, and then so I don't have exactly all of them going forward from that point.
Yeah, the primary things that are in the fire code that relate to the IRC are going to be a site access and site fire flow. that's pretty much what would apply to it. And I believe solar is back into the IRC that keeps bouncing back and forth. So if solar is in the IRC, then that, if it's not, it's in the IFC, then that'd be another piece. But I think those are only a couple chapters that relate specifically back to the IRC.
Gotcha. I know that in the IFC and the IRC, we had some off-cycle rulemaking to kind of correlate changes for, or not changes, but correlate what was said in the IFC versus the IRC. And I think that that would be a good thing to make sure that we have some input on, so that we've got the same language in both codes if that is desirable here. What am I doing? Not that. Okay. So,
yeah, I just wanted to add, Mike, I am also on the IBC tag, which is separate, and that includes the IBC and the IRC, the International Residential Code. There is not a home builder or affordable housing. That position is open on the IBC as well. So
sorry, Roger, I thought Damon Doyle was covering that.
Well, Damon is the State Building Code Council representative, but on the tag, the technical advisory group, there is not anybody that is a representative right now. So another place you might be interested in, and certainly would be more on the residential side, at least for the
I didn't realize there was those openings. I also sit, by the way, on the Codes Council for National Association of Home Builders, and I am Seattle's delegate to NHB. To our we meet 3 times in person, 3 times off here. So yeah, I'm kind of the codes guy out of the Seattle area. So sure, if there's an opening there, I'll fill it. I'm doing everything I can to be available for every single one of these tags, this code cycle, because you guys, the impacts to our, I cannot understate, I can never understate the horrendous cost impacts to our industry on excessive codes. So that's why I'm here, and to try and get back some of my 50 years experience on being a builder.
Gotcha. So Dave, you mentioned the fire access and fire water. Do you know offhand what chapters those are within?
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5. That's what I was thinking, but I just want to concur, get that concurrent.
Yeah,
So
in the other occupancy designations to be under the definitions of chapter 2, but you guys have already done those, so.
gotcha.
I know we had some discussion on it could end up being a little bit of chapter 9 for like adult family home type of thing, but chapter 5 primarily.
Gotcha. So Ricky, I've got your name on chapter 5 and 6. Would you welcome some help from Mike Nykram on Mike? I would like to put you in for both of those to assist on those, and we can move on from there at the moment.
Yeah, I'm yeah, absolutely open to some help. This is my first code adoption cycle, or so that I'm fairly new to this as well. I was going to lean on Ken a little bit this week and get some of his advice on some of this stuff. But yeah, I welcome any help.
Okay, awesome. So Mike, does that sound favorable? I'll slot you in for 5 and 6.
Yeah, put me in. By the way, I'll connect with the IAW to, frankly, there's got to be some other builders in the state to step up to this very important agenda items that we're all trying to address here.
Gotcha. And then Kevin, as far as what you got, I've got you in here as, oh shoot, where is your name on the list? Your fire sprinkler industry. Do you have some chapters in mind that you would like to work on?
I just volunteer to take anything that's left. If you need to send it, if there's some chapters that haven't been distributed yet, you can go ahead and send them my way. A few of them anyway.
Okay. And Lance, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'll take 10. You can add 10 to our plate, my plate.
Okay. Take that note. Okay, so as far as chapters that we don't have assignments for, there's not a lot of them that have major or any state amendments left. So we're looking at the ones that don't have significant changes, according to Ken. And Ken, I don't know if you heard me, I didn't have the opportunity to go through these to look for significant changes in those chapters we don't have assigned out yet. Do you have any input on that one, Mr. Ken?
Yeah, if you would share, I don't think you did pass out that document that I went through every chapter and looked at,
Yeah,
where it's changed.
it appears that that one didn't get sent out with this group mailing, and I apologize. That is my bad on that.
So again, I went through the 24 code and used the red line version and looked at, where all the blue was, and then went down through that spreadsheet and picked out the significant change part of it. And then again, on that spreadsheet, I also included the Washington State existing WAC amendment. So I think it's a good starting point for everybody to look at and follow through. They can look at it while they look at their 24 fire code, and then they can see, did I miss anything or not going through each chapter, because I identify the chapter sections. And if you see something else that you think that's significant, then definitely include it. I just picked out the ones that I thought were significant. So I normally keep open the WAC page, the 24 code, when I do these at the same time, and also our 21 code, and just take a look at it. So that's just my recommendation. But yeah, or Ricky, you just reach out anytime. You might have to owe me lunch, but yeah, reach out anytime you want. David already reached out to me this morning, so I'll help out with them too.
Gotcha. Well, as soon as this meeting's over, I'll get this document that Ken graciously prepared, and it's my apologies I didn't get this out to you guys after the last meeting, because I fully intended to. Let me see here. I'm gonna get the share screen going. So Kevin, do you think that it would be too much of a big ask to see if you could just go through the chapters that aren't listed on Ken's document and just take a quick glance and see if there's any substantive changes in those chapters that we might want to take a look at?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Just send them
Okay.
to me.
Awesome.
Happy
Thank
to
you,
do
Kevin.
it.
And then Ray, you have your hand up. We didn't get an introduction from you. You weren't here when we lined up. So I'd like to introduce everybody to Ray Shipman. He's the alternate on what one we got for the building officials.
Yeah, I just wanted to let anybody know. I don't know, like I said, I'm sorry I'm late. I had a conflicting meeting. I'm willing to help with any chapter that I can. I know that normally staff does chapter 1. I'm willing to pick that up. Dustin, have experience in that portion. Like I said, I don't know what's been picked, but I'm willing to do what I can and help anybody I can.
So 1 through 4, we've got kind of wrangled already. I've had that done before we got this meetings going. Is there any chapters that you like specifically that you could jump in on and assist with the people who have already volunteered for those ones?
I'll assist anybody that needs help. Like I said, I'm pretty familiar with all the chapters.
Does anybody want or need the extra eyes on the stuff they're working on? If you want to raise your hand, we can slot Ray in alongside your name. I've got Walker. Would you like some help from Ray?
Yeah, I'd signed up for 7 through 11. I just finished going through the red line, and I think once we have Ken's report, it sounds like that's going to be a big help. But and Jake Littercourt is on 7 through 11 also with me. So, but I think fire department perspective is probably helpful on certainly on chapter 11. But didn't know if there was any.
No, yeah, no problem. I will look through those as well.
Okay, awesome. And like I said, not everybody received emails from us last week. It's the intent this week to send out emails to the entirety of the TAG membership showing the assignments, and we'll make sure we get the missing documents. So I have notes here just recover those before we move on to the next section of our meeting. Let me get to that notes. I've got Dave, you need chapter 53. Quinn, you need the assignment list. Ning, you did not get any documents last week and need everything. Everybody needs a document from Ken Brulette that he worked on that's for the full code and is a good cheat sheet. And Mike Nykram, I need to send you a full package as well, but you're a fresh volunteer today. Okay. So I think that concludes.
Actually, Dustin, I realize I didn't get hardly anything either. I got a bunch of stuff on the building IBC, but IFC, I didn't get anything, I don't believe. So a full package. So
I did send out something to you yesterday, Roger. Have you had a chance to check that one?
I will double check and get back to you.
Okay. It doesn't have any chapter assignments because we didn't get any volunteer, but you should have the other documents that were sent out. It's got the assignment list, some of the sample documents and things like that.
Okay.
I need to send you the Ken Brulette document for sure. And other than that, I think you might have everything that you would have needed for this. But if you're missing anything, just let me know and I'll get it to you post haste.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ken just sent Ken's document to everybody that was on that IFC tag poll. I figured that's got everybody's email address on it, so hopefully it's on its way. I'm sure I'm violating every rule that you guys just talked about, but oh well.
I think that will be okay in this instance. Sending a document out during the meeting shouldn't be a problem for that one. But I was just gonna, Rosanna, you're online today. She's the one who sent out the poll to everybody. I assume that has all the contacts on that email, and we shouldn't have any gaps in there. Rosanna?
I think there was a problem with one of my email there, Dustin. But it has been corrected because I did just get Ken's email. So I didn't get the poll originally. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yes, I did
Kevin
send everything out, so I apologize. I was having technical difficulties on my end as well, getting my Zoom to work here.
No worries. Kevin, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Dustin, I did not receive anything last week as well. So can you send me the full package and everything else this week, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that covers our chapter assignments for now. And
had one question, Dustin.
Go ahead, Walker.
And maybe I missed something, but I just wanted to double check for those of us working on multiple chapters. Do you want the report spreadsheets broken out by chapter? Or should we?
Yes, if you could just label where the chapters are, I don't need necessarily separate documents, just a line in there that shows where your one chapter stops and the next one begins.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a great question. Anybody else's comments on the assignments? All right. Then we will move forward. Let me get my screen sharing here. So this is the agenda, and so we've got a distribution done. For item number 3, just a quick touch base. We've already kind of probably touched a little bit on it. Some of the difficulties that may have been had, or you didn't get anything, or incomplete packages. So I just wanted to touch base. I've already started receiving some work back. I got chapter 33 from Ken. I think I got some stuff from Dave Cookott. I have to get those kind of organized into our receivable bucket. But as you guys finish chapters and reports there, just send the documents to, I would request both me and Rosanna, and we can get those collated, and then the final product, we'll be putting that all together into one big document, and we'll be going over it. For those who weren't here for the orientation or the meeting last week, our contract with ICC prevents us from sharing the entire Word document with everybody. So when it's time to review the document as a whole, I think I'll be sending out the individual chapters where we have amendments. And then as we go over the document and as a whole, that'll be something that I share on screen. If we have significant changes and things to work on, we can share those out, but I have to make sure that we don't violate the contract that we are working with ICC on that one for their copyright issues. So that,
Hey,
that just
Dustin,
Go ahead,
I
Quinn.
posted in the notes the free online version for ICC. So for those who need access to it, ICC offers a free version.
Yes. So is that a free Word document or is that just the online codes?
It's just the online codes.
Okay. In the emails we sent out, there should be a link there as well, in there, and a link to the WAC page where you can see the existing amendments, and also a link to the report from ICC that shows their proposals on changes with some rationale and cost statements. I think that should be most of the links that we need on there. If we have more that we think are helpful, I would be grateful for anybody to throw them our way and we can distribute them or just post them in the notes. And I think that the notes, I would like to just, keep these going with the tag meetings so that we don't, we can have that information at hand at all the meetings. And I appreciate the suggestion, Quinn. All right. Does anybody have any thing to report on their progress? I'm not looking to see where you're at or micromanage, how far you are right now, but just as a, we've got some stuff. Me personally, I did some work prior to the tag meetings on some of these chapters, and I put my name on some of them at our last meeting, and I haven't had a chance to do any of that work just yet. And so that is my update to you guys. And I see a hand from Mike.
Well, I didn't mean to go first. I just put my hand up for when it's time to call on people.
Well, I mean, that was all I was going to say is that, I haven't had a chance to do much on these yet. I expect more time this week to put some work in. And so I think that I'll be okay with the stuff I volunteered for. If I am drowning here as the acting managing director of the council, I might put out a call for some help from some folks. And if you don't have the bandwidth, I understand, and we will get it done. I just may have to put in the burning the candle at two ends on that one. Anyway, Mike, I'm going to call on you again now.
All right. Well, is it Quinion? Thank you very much, Quinion. I was going to point out the PDF on the iCodes also, and if we could have that link up there all the time, that'd be terrific. I use it too. I actually use the City of Seattle's resources page, also excellent connections to a lot of the online codes. Ken Roulette just sent out an email, which I think in our open meetings, I don't know how that fits in, but Ken put together a great chart in Word. Is it possible to get that in Excel? Because with Excel, at least I know, and maybe there's a way in Word, but how to sort by subject, by item, some of the items that are brought up. So that's just a suggestion. And then willing to address. So sent out was a 22-page document that I did get. Admittedly, I did not read it word for word, but I did go through every page. And there's 2 points. And out of maybe sheer ignorance to everybody else on this panel, I really got to ask the question, as I sit in codes meetings that expand many, many days and hours every year on behalf of NHB, I get asked the why. Why are we, if you could, Dustin, clarify, why make changes to IRC that we're trying to get implemented nationwide? I don't know if a lot of people realize, but there's about a third of our builds have no building codes in our nation. So I'd like to know the why of the amendments, and then I've got a second issue.
The why of the amendments for the IRC in general? I mean, as far as the why, as I understand it, so I've been with the State Building Code Council for 2 years and in the state of Washington since 2016. The will of the council is that the amendments work better for Washingtonians, is my understanding of the why. I don't think we have a mission statement out there as far as that explains it much more than that.
If I could address it, Dustin, there's a lot of reasons the codes change all the time. The state of Washington does adopt typically the most current IBC, and that is a legislative mandate that we basically, that's why the State Building Code Council is here, is to look at the model codes, which are the IBC codes, and adopt them for the state. So we are required to do that by legislature. There also are many things change all the time. And I know on the IFC, Ken Brulette was very involved. What do we do with battery storage, with solar panels and battery storage? I mean, it's a brand new technology. What's safe, what's not safe? So there are things changing all the time. And I wanted to remind everybody where we're at today. There are existing amendments to our state building code, to the IBC, that are part of the state IFC. What we're doing is the IFC, the ICC has come out with a new IFC fire code. Are there any conflicts between the new code language in the 2024 and our current amendments? And we need to identify those, and then the TAG and the Building Code Council are going to figure out how best to resolve any conflicts. Then there will be proposals by, again, this summer, there will be proposals by any individual can propose changes to the IFC. And we as a TAG need to go through and make a recommendation to the State Building Code Council as to whether those amendments should be included or should not be included. So we are addressing questions that people ask us to make changes. I appreciate there are a lot of people with a lot of different both knowledge and people with a lot of different backgrounds here. And that's why it is a council. That's why a TAG. It's why the council went through a whole lot of time to try to make sure that these tags represent as many different groups that are involved in building code trades as possible. So it is a very diverse group, and we appreciate everybody contributing from their perspective. So Mike, I think that's my answer to try to, answer your question why there are changes or why we are doing the codes. We are mandated by the legislature to produce Washington State building codes. And we're trying to, as a group, come up with the best code possible with input from everybody. And I'll go ahead. Your hand's still up. I don't know if you want to reply to that or respond.
Well, I prefer to reply after everybody else has had a chance first.
Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of want to address a little bit of that as well, as having been on the council in the past and dealing with the codes. The codes change because there's usually a cultural change. There's usually some kind of experience that's occurred since the original codes were done. A lot of this is trying to address safety issues, constructability as well, energy savings. There's a number of things that come into play, and sometimes it gets a little political. But in general, the basic whole thing with this is we want to make sure that construction in the state is safe, is complete, and it meets the expectations of what the citizens are looking for. And sometimes there are some challenges with it, and I know that there are some disagreements about certain things of the codes, but that's what this level is for, is the TAG debates this, comes up to a consensus to where we make this recommendation up to the council to be able to become state law for the building code for the state of Washington. So what Roger has said is very, very, very accurate, is that we have a very good diverse group of people with diverse backgrounds. There are different interests as how things want to be able to move forward, but it is the group as a whole that is going to come up and say, this is what the best code is for the state of Washington for relating to, in this particular code, the fire code. So I appreciate what Roger has stated. I'm supportive.
And if I can add on, Mike, to Dave's comments, what my assumption will happen over the next year is there's going to be a whole bunch of things that we're going to look at as a tag and say, yes, we all agree, this makes sense. There are going to be, I don't know, a handful, 10, I don't know how many items that are going to come up that are going to be somewhat controversial, or there's going to be a difference of opinions. And then we are going to debate those opinions. And that's why there are 15 official votes. When I don't want to call it a disputed resolution, because there's some language that has come up about defining disputed resolution, but when there is a item that gets passed through the tag on a close vote where it's not close to unanimous, that information does get passed along to the MVP committee, which then makes the recommendations to the full state building code council, and it is presented to everybody as, okay, the tag debated this issue, and there was some, typically it is reported, it was voted on, and it was 10-5 the vote. So if there isn't pretty much full unanimity, as the code language gets passed along up the ladder to the full state building code council, that information is included in the report so that the full state building code council can take that into account when they are voting whether to approve something or not.
Looks like there are no more hands. Except for Mike's.
Hey, then if I could respond briefly, so I sit on the National Association of Home Builders Codes Council. We have the authors of ICC. They come to us just about every meeting. I'll be in Washington, D.C. in June. I'm very interested in bringing up the issues that are raised right here, right now. I'll be taking it directly to the ICC authors. Last meeting, there's I don't know if you could come across, but it's my notebook of pages and pages of notes that I take every time I meet with the ICC authors and bring up just that. And so you understand, Roger, issues you bring up, I want to hear what I haven't heard. And like what you just talked about, battery storage, and EVs, of course, that's a nationwide issue right now. And I know the ICC is working on it. Back to, and I'm also hearing, staff saying they've got a difficult time. You've got a lot on your plate. Appreciate that, respect that. Want you guys know that the guy who makes the building permit and makes a house go vertical is right now sitting on 55 weeks waiting for a permit review for a home that has a sprinkler mandate. And so then that's my frustration. My frustration is, hey, I got scores of volumes of code books sitting on that shelf right over there. Why don't we just adopt them and move ahead, release staff so I can get a building permit, so I could actually build a home for somebody, even with a fire sprinkler system. It's not the fire sprinkler systems that are crushing us. I don't know if you guys have any idea. The holding costs for the property and for the permit comes out of my wallet. When I have weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting for building permits, it's just makes it all unattainable. So, and then, and I can tell why there's not other builders. All the builders right now, they're all on the energy code issues because in our state, we have a completely unattainable energy code. It's literally insane. So I want the homes safe, no matter what the price point. Absolutely, I'm on board, but we got to get there as efficiently as possible. So that's why I'm going to push the issue of the why. Why spend the time when we got an unbelievably well-written code? The old story about the enemy of good is perfection. And so That's where I am. I'm going to try and shut up for the rest of the meeting and absorb what I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Ricky.
Yeah, so I definitely feel for Mike's frustrations. But back on the topic, I have dug around in chapter 5, comparing 24 to 21. I was trying to find the information in the WAC to see any changes, and I don't believe there was any. I mean, I didn't get Ken's cheat sheet until a few minutes ago. But was there any changes to the WAC pertaining to chapter 5?
No, sir. So
Okay,
when we're
okay.
looking at the WAC and comparing to the code, what that is going to do is there's no changes to the WAC from 2021 to 2024 yet. That'll be the work that we do after we get proposals later on this summer. Right now we're the work on that Word document, we're going to take that WAC language and insert it into the Word documents where it would belong. So we're looking to show that change there. So that's the change that is happening from the WAC. It's a difference from the model code language to the state amendment language. And then the changes we're trying to evaluate right now are the significant changes that happen in the model code language, and that will be denoted
24.
in blue text. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I should be looking at 24, seeing if there's any significant big changes in the wording, and then propose that stuff in my document.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Quinn.
So I want to address Mike's comment earlier about time frame and stuff. The IFC, and some of you guys can correct me on this one, but normally the IFC is more of a maintenance code. In my experience, working at Pierce County, Tacoma, and Auburn, the fire review doesn't really hold the permit. It's usually the building or land or planning, right? IFC is the fire review is usually pretty quick. There are some stuff in the IFC that are building related, building permit related. But the majority of it, and this is something that we should keep in mind when we're doing these proposals, is that these are maintenance type of codes. So that's something to just think about when we're going through these exercises.
Roger.
Yeah, I will just also respond to the time review times. I am a structural engineer. I submit full, high-rise commercial buildings for review. We can talk all day long about what the correct or the review process that happens at the city. I certainly more on my position on the building code than on the fire code. Consider for sure the simplicity. I like the KISS acronym, keep it simple, stupid. Anything that is simple makes sense to me. However, there also is information that, as codes, as I mentioned, things change all the time. So in my hope is to create a code that is as simple as possible so that the review cycle can happen as quick as possible. I'll have to shut up now because I have something in my throat.
So I just want to add real quick. Thanks, Roger. So the IFC is mostly fire inspector type of code. So that's what I meant by maintenance. When the fire inspector goes out there to do their annual maintenance, that's where the fire code usually kicks in. So again, it's not a typical holdup on the permit review side when it comes to the fire code. It's more of a maintenance for the fire inspector out in the field.
Dave?
Yeah, I did want to add that one of the things that I've, as a chair of the tags in the past, my goal has always been to minimize the amendments. So I think that's kind of going to where Mike is talking about all these changes. And one of the challenges we've had is we've been delayed in our adoption of the codes. So the code has been out for a while. We're a little bit behind it. They've already had the hearings of 2027 code. So we've tried to get our stuff out ahead of the game. But over the years, we've kind of delayed a little bit. So we're playing catch up to the model code regularly. But what we try to do is, and you'll see some of these things, Mike, and proposals we're going to have, is we already know about some good stuff in the 2027 let's then take care of issues now. We may be adopting some of that code early with the proposals that we get. But I think the basic intent of the tags is to try and minimize our amendments. What amendments we do have, let's get them up to the national level. Let's get them reviewed by ICC. If we can get them into the codes, we've done several such things like that. The whole cannabis and plant extraction chapter started in Washington State. So we have that ability to do that. And I think in the long term, we would like to have as little amendments as possible. That takes effort.
And I will add my role on the State Building Code Council. I am very much, I have stated this many times, I want to keep us on schedule. I know that our code adoption last time was pushed out maybe a couple of times, mostly because of the energy code issues, but my goal on the State Building Code Council is to meet our stated goal of, I believe that it is November of 2025 to, adopt these new codes. And so part of our challenges is we are a little bit behind. We need to keep this tag process going so that we can work throughout the rest of this year and get through the CR 101, 102, 103 process that we're required to do. So.
Alrighty. I thank everybody for that discussion. I don't expect to hear much on progress. Like I said, I have a couple chapters that have been resubmitted. If we could, as you finish them, just send them my way and Rosanna's way. We'll get them collated into the documents and be ready to present those during our tag meeting for discussion. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about on the progress of what they've got going on, I would like to move to item number 4 and discuss our future schedules, at least through the May council meeting. And so we sent out a poll. It didn't get out super timely. Rosanna, if you not have any technical issues, could you maybe just give us a quick rundown on what the kind of majority response has been for the IFC tag membership to request meeting time and location, not location, but in days?
Yes. So as of right now, majority are leaning towards Tuesday at 2 p.m. That's where what I'm getting back.
Okay. I have a new one from Zach. Monday 1 or 2, and the preview went away. So give me one moment. They were Tuesday 1 or 2. So we have pretty robust participation here today in the morning. And it looks like the afternoon is kind of preferred. Mike, you have your hand up.
Yeah, if I could just say, because of lunch meetings that I have with my staff quite frequently, 1 o'clock would be too early. So 2 o'clock, just for my schedule. I don't know how it fits for you guys. Right now, my phone is blowing up with all the people trying to contact me while I'm sitting here. I'm sure everybody else is too. So it's not just about me, but I'd really like to push for that 2 o'clock. That seems to be my quietest time during the day.
All righty, thank you. Ricky?
Yeah, I don't know why I still haven't gotten a poll yet, but I have to say this. Tuesdays are fairly busy for me. If I'm okay with 2 o'clock on Tuesday, but I do teach in our apprenticeship program at 4:30, and that's a hard stop for me. And I do participate in the Ken's FCAB, and that's usually, I'm thinking, around 1 as well on a Tuesday. Not that we've been having a lot of meetings or not, but I'm more in favor of a Monday if we could.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say on what the schedules work best for them?
Ricky, I promise you I will not have any Seattle Fire Code Advisory boards on the same day as our tags.
Yeah, I think on Monday and Tuesday, 2 p.m. works for me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not hearing a lot more on that one. It does. I would like to, I guess, suggest Tuesdays at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. For this, and if there's major objection, please raise the hand. If not, I guess we don't need a vote on it, but it might be nice to vote on it. We do have a quorum present today.
Well, if it could, and not a great deal of respect for what Ricky said, you think we'd be able to wrap up in time for him to still be able to meet his apprenticeship programs? Because that, to me, that sounds more important than anything we're working on.
Well, I will say, as I run the meeting, and maybe the next person that takes over runs the meeting, 2 to 4 probably makes sense. And if somebody needs to leave at 4, that happens at the Building Code Council meetings as well. There's a hard stop, and if the meeting drags on, if we still have a quorum, the meeting can continue. So, but I actually believe that 2 hours should be pretty good for us. So.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 meetings towards the end as we are approaching our deadlines, maybe might be scheduled for a little bit longer. And if that's needed, I would definitely want to reach out to everybody and make sure that we can have the attendance we need to move the work forward. But if Tuesdays at 2 p.m. work for everybody, we'll get it penciled in, and we can meet again next week on Tuesday. Does that sound like a good one for everybody? Any objections, I guess?
Just a clarifying question, Dustin. Are we talking every single Tuesday or like once every other week or once a month?
In the beginning here, so the goal here is just to kind of set them until the May meeting, which is on the 24th. After that, if there's needs to change them, we can do that. We also, might not have the need to have them every week. I would like to get them kind of penciled in, and if we need to cancel one, we can do that. And then moving forward from the May meeting, we can touch base again, or if we wanted to right here today, say that Tuesdays at 2 works for the entire code cycle, we can set that as kind of like the standard. And if there's anything that doesn't fall or that needs to fall outside of that standard, we can make the exception when it needs to happen.
Yeah, Quinn, if I can also respond, I think that we are weekly at least through the 14th of May. Maybe the 21st. There's an MVP meeting on the 17th of May that we theoretically should have information to the MVP group prior to the full SBCC meeting on the 24th. That's going to be a lot of the heavy lift here to get through the first pass at it. I would envision maybe every other week through the end of May and into June, the summer, maybe not at all, or maybe once a month. And then once we start getting, proposed amendments, we'll have to see in the fall. There might be a little bit more heavy lift, maybe every other week, August, September timeframe. So, but I do like the idea of just, if everybody can think Tuesday at 2 o'clock is IFC, we'll go from there. So.
And touching base on like the committee meetings and the council meetings, it's not required for TAG members to attend those, but as they are talking about stuff that we've done work on, it would probably be beneficial to make the attempt to meet on those days. And in the poll, I know not everybody got the poll, but we didn't include Friday on purpose there because those are reserved for those committee and council meetings when we have them. And so we didn't want to have like a recurring meeting that might need to be canceled on that day. But I would encourage everybody to attend the committee meetings and the council meetings as well, just in case their questions arise and you happen to be the person that has the answer most directly. All right. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to discuss for the good of our order?
Walker's got his hand up.
Oh, Walker, I thought that was remained up from previous. Walker.
Nope, I just wanted to note, I will have a conflict every other Tuesday from 2 to 3. So I'd be able to join at 3 on those days. Hopefully Dave would be able to attend as well to serve in the FPE spot for that hour I'll miss. And sounds like there's a little bit of groundswell around the Tuesday at 2 p.m. So I don't want to influence away from it, but just wanted to point that out.
I think if you can attend at 3, it's not a issue. You know, if we need input, we can hold off on that one until you are able to join us. So I appreciate that you have the time for us at all. Ray.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. I think 2 hours is going to make our meetings very tight. I have experience with tags and running them. I just encourage people to let's stay at the task at hand, and after the meeting's adjourned, have sidebars about other concerns we might have, but let's just focus on what our task is now, because these are gonna, it is a tight schedule, and 2 hours is a tight time frame.
Correct. Thank you, Ray. Mr. Ken.
So I don't know if it was the last building code council meeting or our tag introduction, but I think Roger, you mentioned, or somebody mentioned about getting materials out and up on the website a week prior to all of our meetings, so the public would have the ability to review the agenda items. Not too sure how we're going to be able to do that with an upcoming meeting next week. That's the first thing. And then second is I did not attend the council meeting on Friday, but my understanding is there was a topic of discussion that might have been pushed down to the tag for review. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be a special work group assigned for that. And I'm recommending Zach Tuck and Kevin Marr on that committee. You guys can shoot me later.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken.
So Ken, yes, we mentioned that at the beginning. The next meeting, which now it sounds like will be next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we will have to take some time for that proposal. The proponents will be here. We will hopefully the plan will be to send that information to this group today or tomorrow, I think, Dustin, right? Ahead of time. It is, if you look at the on the website, if you look at last week's SBCC meeting, all of the information is there, both the proposals and the presentation that the proponents made. So that will be part of the conversation next time. As far as responding to the posting everything a week ahead of time, I think our agenda, but Ken, I think, and I will have to go back, I think the conversation is more around posting everything for the standing committee meetings and certainly for the SBCC meetings. The tag meetings are going to be much more fluid. I think I can talk with Dustin about what we try to do as far as posting information ahead of time. Maybe the agenda gets posted, although if we're having weekly meetings, how do you do that, right? So I think that the tag meetings are going to be more fluid, but yes, it's my hope that we do everything we can to make sure that we're meeting the OPMA and getting information out there for the public. I think the critical thing is our meetings are open to the public, and we will post them on the website of when they're happening. So anybody from the public can attend the meetings at any time.
So, and I'm sorry I was late to today's meeting since you mentioned that about next week's meeting. So is next week's meeting, the time is just going to be used for that, or are we still going to have our other tag functions? And then 2, are you anticipating that we're supposed to be taking action as a tag on that item that was referred?
As far as the action anticipated, we want to be able to review that. And so what the council directed was to review the proposal by the proponent and be prepared to submit a CR 103 for emergency filing after the May meeting. So we want to have the presentation by the proponent next meeting. If we want to break out a little work group to discuss that and be ready for the next tag meeting to maybe make the recommendation. With kind of a time crunch. We got a lot going on. I know that that's a concern of yours, Ken, having the time to do everything that we are tasked to do at this moment. So talking about the documents, We can get the agendas posted a week before. I do believe that the requirement for us is the bare minimum is 24 hours before. I don't want to, that's not my goal though, to say, well, that's the rule, so I'm going to follow that. I would say that our working documents, as those come in, and we're going to discuss them at the next tag meeting, I will post them as soon as I get them for discussion. And I don't, do we anticipate having a productive meeting next week where we have those documents to review? Like, we can go over chapter 33, since I have that one. We can go over the other ones that I've already received. And I guess my kind of plan for getting those ready and making a plan for what we're going to talk about at the subsequent meetings would be based on what I've received prior to the meeting that we are having today. So I can use the documents that I have. We can put that on the agenda for discussion next meeting. We'll have the agenda item for the NAFED versus NICET licensing for pre-engineered systems for next week. I would like to have that kind of up at the top of the agenda to get that one kind of taken care of. But I would like to reserve probably at least half of our meeting for the work on the reports that we're working on right now. Their presentation at the council meeting was just around 45 minutes. I will hear later today, as we can get the agenda posted, I will move the items for the presentation and their proposal into a tag meeting calendar event on our website, so that that's available for everybody. But I would ask that folks take a peek at the proposal and the presentation, even though they're not there speaking on their PowerPoint slides, to kind of familiarize yourself, and maybe we can trim down the time on that for making everybody cognizant of what the ask is at the moment.
Yeah, Ken, I would say that the feeling on the State Building Code Council last week was, let's go ahead and approve this. It makes sense to everybody that we do that. However, we really didn't have anybody, the experts that are on this group, really, people were not there to weigh in, so we wanted to give it a month. If it's going to be an emergency rule that goes into effect before the July 1st date, the May council meeting would be the time that we would have to approve that. The council would have to approve it. So the hope is let's allow this group to review it and give any comments. So I think my hope was a half an hour. Dustin said an hour. My hope was a half an hour to have them present it. And then if there is a group that should pull aside and have some conversations on the side, and then we can take it up again the next week. That's kind of the process I would hope. So.
Okay, well, my only recommendation is that you do that ahead of time, is that as the chair, you would put together a committee to review the documents prior to, because there's somebody on your committee that helped write that language into the building or into the fire code. So
okay.
I would like to get that analysis done prior to the meeting. So if anybody has any questions, we're ready for it. That would just be my suggestion. But if you want to wait till after their presentation again, that's fine too. But I'm just trying to get ahead of the game here, since I know some of the players that would have the most impact. But I'll leave it up to you.
No, I appreciate that. And I guess, Dustin, if we wanted to, I don't know that everybody on this, on the meeting today is familiar with the issues. And I was not prepared to present it, but if they're, I guess, I think what I would ask Ken is if everybody that has an interest in that, the issue, and Dustin, maybe we can pull up the two documents from and put them on the screen. And if you have an interest, just be prepared at the next tag meeting. My intent would be to allow the proponent to do their presentation, have some discussion, and then then assign a group to pull off and have the more in-depth conversation. And then we can hopefully have a more complete approve something at the next tag meeting, or certainly, certainly before the May 24th meeting.
So Ken, you nominated some folks for the committee a little bit. It was Zach Tuck, and who was the other one you recommended?
Well, Kevin Marr, just because it's in the chapter 9 realm, but Zach and I were the ones that worked on the legislation to begin with, that's in
Gotcha.
there. So that's the
So-
reason that it's so important to, have the tag chair put together a work group ahead of time. But if you don't want to do that, I understand. I'll step back.
My
Well,
only
Zach-
concern, Ken, with doing it ahead of time is has everybody had an opportunity to review it? Not everybody on this group may understand it. So I'm fine putting together a group now. We could take volunteers.
Well, I would like to ask if Zach and Kevin are friendly to their nomination. Are they still online?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely dive into it right now.
Gotcha. And Kevin, are you friendly to the nomination for the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna throw out David. David's new to our group, but it's in his wheelhouse. So there's stuff for fire alarm in there too. So David Mal with FPI, I think he would be a great, and we'll review it and we'll help, have the expert, the SMEs help talk on the next tag meeting about the items.
Gotcha.
Okay.
David, are you friendly to that nomination? Okay, just to keep us moving here, before I call on the folks that had their hands up first, James Knowles is the proponent of this, and he made the presentation at the council meeting. James, I want to let you speak a little, if you could give like a 5-minute breakdown real quick, and then as we're kind of forming this committee, the last thing I'd like to do is maybe we can meet a little bit later this week to discuss this and have a little bit of a preparation for the tag meeting next Tuesday, and then we can whittle down and save some time that way. I'd like to turn the floor over to James for a moment.
Thank you for that, Dustin. Let me just simply say I'm prepared to give this presentation. Frank, if you want it to be 30 minutes, I'm happy to give it in 30 minutes. I'm available for the meeting next Tuesday at 2 p.m. I'm there, no problem at all. I'm happy to do that. I do believe that some people on this committee are well educated on this subject, and I think others maybe need a little more education on the on the situation. So sharing my presentation that I will be giving and that I gave to the State Building Code Council, I think is appropriate. And if anyone has any comments or questions that they'd like to send my way before the meeting next Tuesday, I'm happy to have that conversation with any of you. And Dustin, you can share my contact information that's in my email with anybody on this committee. That's just fine. I think the committee's done a fantastic job, and we just have a little nuance change we want to go over from instead of requiring NICET 2 and 3 for industrial dry chem systems that are pre-engineered. We'd like to require the ICC NAFED certification for pre-engineered dry chemical, not engineered, but pre-engineered dry chemical. So that's the argument, that's the proposal, and I'm happy to participate however the committee needs me to. So just wanted to let everyone know. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Mike.
So, for example, Dustin, if we could, how did you anticipate we're going to go through this handout that we received prior to this meeting? 22 pages. Like I said, I'm just used to this as an example.
I'm not sure what handout you have there. So since you weren't at the last meeting, we didn't send out any chapters to you, and I don't think we will be discussing that handout.
Well, I was at the intro handout that Dustin, or not Dustin, that Damien was chairing, and then this is this I got from No, I'm not up to speed with all the staff names yet, but this I got from the State Building Code Council, request for off-cycle rulemaking related to adoption of Group R4, which is our group homes. So I was curious, how were you all going to be taking the input from this 22-page document?
So in the, I'll let, we did adopt R4 and it's part of our 2021 codes. So I'm not sure what process is in effect right now that you are looking to weigh in on. So right now R4 is adopted in the state of Washington.
Yeah, it's just something that popped up in an email from last week.
Okay, I would have to research what exactly, like, I don't think any of our staff emailed that out, but I would have to check on that one. It may be something, if Stoyan emailed it out, I'm not aware of what that was. If you wanted to forward me that, I would be more than happy to have the discussion and find the right venue for the conversation.
Mike, you're muted.
My hitting that space bar and the mute button at the same time blows up your computer. Anyhow, it looks like it came from Roxanne last week. So
from Rosanna?
Anna?
I apologize. I'm not up to speed with everybody's names. Yeah, Rosanna.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, maybe let me converse with her outside of this meeting, and we'll track it down and we'll make sure we're addressing appropriate topics here. And so I'll follow up with you, Mike, after I have another meeting here at 1, and so maybe later on this afternoon we can touch base on that one and figure out what's happening on that. Okay, Ricky.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that special group as well.
Okay. And Ray.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, that group that we are putting together, is that going to be a formal group? Or are they just going to do an informal? Because if we make it formal and vote on it, we probably have to make the Public Meetings Act requirements. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody's clear and staff knows, but just an informal group might be better than a formal group to save time. But I just wanted to bring that up.
If Dustin, if I can address that, I believe my intent was it was a work group, and I think as long as we keep the work group less than 6 people, and we are not a quorum, we would be okay. And that work group will only come back to this full tag, and we will, as a group, make any official, recommendations as far as moving forward. So I think we are okay, according to the OPMA, as long as we have less than 6. I would suggest we keep it to 5 people, just to be clear. I think that there are, again, only 12 official voting positions right now. So let's keep it at 5 people as a working group. And then we're okay to keep it off, according to the OPMA.
Thank you, Roger.
So far I have 3 confirmed. We had a nomination of David Mao on here, and he's still online, but I didn't get any verbal confirmation that he would like to participate in this work group.
Oh, sorry, my spacebar is not working. Yeah, I have no problem working with the committee. I'm going to be out of the office next week, but after that, my schedule's wide open the rest of the year. But
okay. Is there anybody else who would like to participate in this work group? We have one more slot open, and not that it's required. Seeing no hands for the work group, I guess let's set something up for this week to chat about this. What is everybody's availability for setting a quick meet on this one?
Do we need council staff there, or can we just do it on our own?
I was planning to attend just so that if there's documents that need to be presented for the work group or for the meeting next week, that just so that we're in the know. So I was planning to attend that as well.
Okay, well then, I'll let you head it up and try to figure out dates then. Yeah, I was hoping for something this week.
Okay. Just looking.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. Sorry, Dustin. So Roger, so you're saying as long as you stay under 6, you don't have a quorum. So I guess it means that people who may want to attend, we got to make sure there's less than 6 at all times, or 5, as you said.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And Myra, if you have an interest, I think I would like to keep it to 5 interested parties. Ken, I was not clear if you were on that group, if you were including yourself in that group or not. But I would like to see a group of 5 people meet with James, go through it, and at the next tag meeting, there can be a presentation by James to everybody, and anybody else from that work group can also present if there are differences of opinions or questions that need to be raised. Anybody can bring those to the table. Anybody from that work group can bring those up to the full tag. So. And yes, I would like to, hopefully you guys can get that work group pulled together this week to have a discussion with James and being there, and then get that process moving so that next week we can have a pretty focused conversation about it.
Just to kick it off, my schedule is pretty open after today. So I would be friendly to pretty much any time during the 8 to 5 time frame for a meeting. Does anybody else have any conflicts in those times, or I can offer some times for folks?
So with Ken being, is he going to be counted? I don't want to push over the number if you know what I mean.
I didn't get an affirmation that Ken intended to participate.
I have Zach, David, Kevin, myself, and Ricky. That's 5. Is there somebody else that I missed?
Nope. I just was unclear about your participation, Ken. So that is 5 that I have on the work group.
If that's acceptable, the only day this week I can't do would be Thursday.
Okay. Does anybody else have any issues on attendance outside of Thursday? I personally would probably like to go for Wednesday. Anytime works for me, but it sounds like the afternoon is a little more friendly for folks. So maybe tomorrow at 2 p.m.
I would propose Friday so people have time to review everything.
Okay. I'm friendly to that.
You're just friendly to begin with.
I'm good with Friday.
This is Kevin. I'm good with Friday.
Okay.
Preferably the morning.
Okay. Does Friday at 10 a.m. work?
Thumbs up from me.
Works for me.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. So Friday at 10 a.m. we'll have the work group meeting. Work group folks, you can expect me to deliver some of the documents that were at our last council meeting, and I will also provide contact information for James in case you have questions or comments before that. And then as far as time on that meeting, I'll schedule it for 2, but it would be, I really hope to try to keep it down to about an hour on that one. Okay. I have nothing else on the agenda. I'll turn it back over to Roger, and I think we're wrapping this one up.
All right. Does anybody have anything they would like to contribute? All right, then I will declare our meeting adjourned.
Awesome. Thanks for your time today, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.